I used to believe life in small-town America was as predictable as the change of seasons. There was something comforting about it, the rhythm of the school bus, the hum of sprinklers in summer, the laughter of neighborhood kids floating through open windows. I grew up in Maplewood, New York, a place where everyone knows which kid belongs to which family and whose golden retriever is currently chewing up the Miller's fence. My name's Hannah Miller now, but I was Hannah Jacobs before I married Kyle Miller, the man who'd eventually teach me just how far a heart could break. Kyle and I met at a 4th of July barbecue behind the firehouse. He wore a faded Yankees cap, had this easy confidence, and told me I made the best potato salad he'd ever tasted. Looking back, it feels like another lifetime, a movie I watched as a kid and can't quite remember the plot. We dated for 2 years. Kyle worked in IT at a mid-sized firm, made decent money, and dreamed about buying a little blue house with a porch swing. He proposed on the riverfront after a minor league baseball game. I said yes, even though he'd forgotten the ring in his glove box and had to borrow a twist tie from the nacho tray. That was his charm, goofy, impulsive, impossible not to love. For the first 5 years, our marriage looked perfect from the outside. We hosted game nights, had barbecues, celebrated every stupid Hallmark holiday, and posted photos of our daughter Madison Maddie for short on Facebook like any suburban couple trying too hard. Maddie was the light of our lives, clever, stubborn, with a crooked smile just like Kyle's. We fought, sure, but it was always over little things, laundry, dishes, whose turn it was to read the bedtime story. When Kyle got promoted to team lead, I baked a cake and invited his parents over. We had friends, plans, dreams for a future full of backyard birthday parties and school plays. But sometimes, even in the best photo, there's a shadow you don't see until you turn up the brightness. The first hint that something was wrong came so quietly I almost missed it. One fall morning, Maddie and I were walking to Willowbrook Elementary. The trees were that impossible golden color you only get in October. I noticed a new mom, petite, dark hair, clutching her son's hand so tightly his knuckles turned white. She glanced at me, then looked away, her face hard to read. The next day, she was there again, watching us from across the playground. She had this haunted look, like she was waiting for something bad to happen. I mentioned it to Kyle that night. Maybe she's just shy, he said, yawning, barely listening. Or maybe you're intimidating, babe. I laughed it off. But the woman, Angela Price, as I later learned, kept showing up. Sometimes she'd stare, sometimes she'd look like she wanted to say something, then flinch and hurry away. About a week later, after school, Maddie came home with a folded slip of paper in her backpack. "Mrs. Price asked me to give this to you," she said. She said not to read it out loud. I smiled, assuming it was a playdate invite. That smile vanished when I read the first line. "I'm so sorry. Your husband has been threatening me." I didn't know he was married. I felt the ground shift beneath me. Angela's number was scrawled at the bottom. That evening, I barely tasted dinner. I watched Kyle pour himself a whiskey, smile at Maddie, scroll through his phone. Everything looked normal, but now I saw the shadows. When he went upstairs to show her, I texted Angela, "I got your note. I need to know everything." We met the next morning at a bakery 2 towns over. She looked even more nervous up close, hands shaking as she pushed her coffee cup around the table. She told me how she'd met Kyle at the rec center, how he said he was divorced, a single dad just trying to get by. He was charming, attentive, made her feel seen. It wasn't until she mentioned running into Maddie and me that he changed. Suddenly, there were threats. "If you tell anyone, I'll ruin you." He sent her photos, videos. He knew where she worked. Angela's hands shook as she showed me the texts. Kyle's number, unmistakable, explicit threats. My husband's voice in the voicemails, I wanted to throw up. She sobbed, apologizing over and over, but I hugged her. He lied to you, too, I said, and in that moment, a strange sort of clarity took over. This wasn't about the other woman. This was about a man who thought he could do anything and get away with it. For days, I walked through my life in a fog. I replayed every moment, the late meetings, the sudden business trips, his new password on his phone. Was he always this way? Had I just never seen it? I almost confronted him that night, but I looked at Maddie, curled up in bed with her stuffed bear, and thought, if I go to war, it's for her. I won't just leave him. I'll make sure he never does this again to anyone. That's when the plan began. I started small. I moved Kyle's keys from the bowl by the door to the laundry room. I changed the passcode on his phone while he slept. Nothing drastic, just a digit off. The next morning, he was confused. Did you see my keys? Nope, I said, smiling sweetly. Later, he cursed at his phone. I swear it was 4,000 to 138, not 4,000 to 139. I shrug. Long day at work. He started forgetting things. I lost the remote. I swapped his favorite mug for a chipped one. When he got home from work and asked if we had chicken for dinner, I told him we'd agreed on pasta. You never listen, I said. At first, he thought he was just tired. Too many emails, he joked to his friend Brad, but then I escalated. I asked my best friend, Vanessa, a pharmacist, to get me mild sleeping pills, nothing dangerous, just enough to make Kyle groggy. Every few days, I'd crush a little into his evening tea. He started waking up exhausted. He was irritable, snapping at Maddie, falling asleep on the couch mid-sentence. I pretended to worry. Are you okay, babe? Maybe see a doctor. At work, things started going sideways. With Angela's help, her cousin was in IT at Kyle's company. I learned how to subtly mess up a few key files. A spreadsheet here, a wrong email there. Kyle's boss called twice. Kyle, these numbers don't add up. Kyle started doubting himself, muttering at his laptop. I watched him spiral. On the weekends, I invited friends over for brunch. I made sure to mention, just loud enough, that Kyle's been so forgetful lately. Vanessa played along. Yeah, he seemed off at the pharmacy. Maybe it's stress. Rumors in Maplewood travel faster than the flu. I ordered a burner phone, set it up with a fake number, and started sending Kyle vague texts. Did you tell her yet? Time's running out. He'd read them, stare at the screen, delete them, then check all the locks twice before bed. One night, he jumped when he heard a branch tap the window. Did you hear that? I nodded, wide-eyed. Maybe it's just the wind. I'd move his car keys to his gym bag, hide his work ID. Once, I rearranged all the shoes in the entryway. He asked Maddie if she did it. She just shrugged. He started keeping a notebook, writing down strange occurrences. He installed a security camera over the garage. Sometimes, late at night, I'd walk through the hallway, brushing past his office door just loud enough for him to wonder if someone was there. His friends noticed, too. At poker night, Brad pulled me aside. Is Kyle okay? He seems off. I let my eyes fill with worrying. He's under a lot of pressure. I don't know what to do. At the next PTA meeting, I asked the principal if there had been any concerns about bullying. Kyle's been so anxious about Maddie lately. The next week, two moms cornered me at Starbucks. Is everything all right at home? I put on my best trembling lip and nodded. At home, Kyle started accusing me of moving things. Why can't I find anything? Are you doing this on purpose? I'd look hurt. Why would I do that? He'd apologize, hug me, cry sometimes. I just don't know what's happening to me. Double quotes. One night, he sat in the dark at the kitchen table, drinking. You ever feel like someone's out to get you? He asked. I shook my head. No one cares enough to do that, babe, I said, then kissed his forehead. I staged a chance encounter with Angela at Target. She acted terrified, whispered, "Please leave me alone," then bolted. Kyle froze, sweating. Later, he raged at me. "Did you see that woman? She's following me." I shook my head, faking concern. "Maybe you should talk to someone, Kyle." With Angela's screenshots, I printed out copies of Kyle's threats, kept them hidden in my closet. Vanessa helped me create a fake prescription from Dr. Klein, confirming memory lapses and paranoia. I left it in the mail pile where Kyle would find it. I started sending weird emails from Kyle's account while he slept. "We need to talk about last Friday," to 3 different coworkers. The next day, his phone buzzed nonstop. He was frantic, deleting messages, asking if I'd noticed anything weird. I shrugged. "I'm sure it's just a glitch." At his office, he snapped at a meeting, accusing a colleague of setting him up. His boss called me. "Hannah, I'm worried about Kyle. Maybe he needs some time off." I agreed. He hasn't been himself. He started seeing a therapist just to prove I'm not crazy. His parents called every night. I told them he's exhausted. The doctor thinks it's stress. They believed me. Who wouldn't? The night everything came crashing down, there was a thunderstorm. Maddie was at a sleepover. Kyle burst into the kitchen, wild-eyed. "I know you're doing this," he hissed. "You and her. You want me locked up. You want my job, my life. I'm not crazy." He was crying, fists clenched. I backed away, playing terrified. "Please, Kyle, you're scaring me." He collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I called Vanessa, who came over immediately. "He needs help," I told her, loudly enough for Kyle to hear. "We'll get you help," Vanessa said gently. The next morning, Kyle checked himself into Maplewood Behavioral Health for observation. He told them everything, the missing things, the texts, the woman at Target, the emails. They wrote it all down, nodded sympathetically, and adjusted his meds. Angela and I met for coffee, a strange feeling of closure between us. "I'm moving to Ohio," she said. "Starting over. Good," I replied. She hugged me. "Thank you, Hannah, for believing me." While Kyle was away, I filed for divorce, irreconcilable differences, mental instability. I showed the court the doctor's notes, the therapist's summary, the printouts of threatening messages. I got the house, full custody of Maddie, child support, the car. Kyle's parents called, crying. I told them I loved their son, but he needed help. They visited him twice at the clinic, then stopped calling. Kyle was released a month later, quieter, slower, confused. He barely fought the divorce. He moved into a rented apartment across town, took a job stocking shelves at Home Depot. At first, Maddie cried for her dad. We talked about feelings, saw a family therapist, baked cupcakes on weekends. Over time, she stopped asking about him every night. Her laugh came back. She started playing soccer, made new friends. The light returned to her eyes. I went back to work at the library, started running again, learned to change a tire. Vanessa checked in weekly, brought wine and laughter. Angela sent postcards from Ohio, signed a friend who will never forget. Sometimes at night, I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder if I'd gone too far. If there was another path, if vengeance, even for the right reasons, ever really gives you peace. But then I'd remember Angela's tears, the fear in Maddie's eyes when Kyle shouted, the emptiness in my own chest the night I realized my marriage was a lie. And I'd know. I did what I had to do. Years have passed. I see Kyle at the grocery store sometimes, shuffling past with a basket of frozen dinners. He never looks up. Maddie is 12 now, strong, funny, unbreakable. She doesn't remember the fights. She remembers the camping trips, the movie nights, the way I never let her feel alone. I remarried last year. Tom's a quiet man, a good man. He loves Maddie, bakes bread on Sundays, never raises his voice. Sometimes over coffee, Vanessa will tease me. You know, you should write a book. I just smile. Who'd believe it anyway? Here's what I've learned. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a neighbor with a perfect lawn and a golden retriever, but you don't have to let it win. Not every story has a happy ending. But this one, I'm proud of how it turned out. And Kyle, he'll never hurt another woman again.